Everyone. Next, we have Clearday Inc. It trades on the OTCQX under the symbol CLRD and is a publicly traded company dedicated to enhancing the lives of adults through innovative cognitive care solutions. Please welcome President and CEO James Walesa, and Corporate Development, we have Dan Policy. Nice to see you, gentlemen. Welcome to the conference today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anna. It's a pleasure to be here. Is the floor mine?
The floor is yours, and when you are ready for questions, call me back.
You bet I will. First and foremost, take a look at our first slide here. And I'm not the CEO that goes slide by slide and gives a presentation. My feeling is if the CEO can't do it with his eyes shut, and you can't see me, my eyes are shut, you probably don't want to hear what he has to say. But this slide's interesting. Read it and let it sink in for a second. In about 5 years, a little bit more than 5 years, 170 million Americans, almost half of the people in this country, are going to be over 50. The hidden gem to that is, for me, and in the healthcare services business, is half of those people are going to be in their 60s and 70s. And as we hit those ages, it really doesn't matter who you are, you need more care. And that's really what Clearday is all about. I've got my disclaimers here. I'm sure everybody's seen them, but I'm going to sit on them for a minute or two, because as I said when we started, it's my intention to tell you the history of Clearday, where we are, and lead into the future. And I want to make sure it's clear to everybody, I'm not jumping up and down and saying, buy my stock, buy my stock. I'm jumping up and down and saying, please follow our story, think about it relative to how it makes sense and how the people around you are affected. Statistically, 1 in 3 Americans today are dealing with somebody who needs more care, whether it be at home or in a residential care environment. That's what we're all about. Clearday and our leadership team, we all came from an operating space. We've been operating buildings and adult daycare for over a decade. The people around me that I've built are all caregivers with decades and decades of experience. Clearday is the result of what Clearday's leadership has learned as operating, because the industry goes back probably into the 80s. So now we're going on almost 40 years. And I can say very confidently, very little has changed in this industry since the 80s, 90s, and the 2000s. And that's where we see the opportunity lies today, is how do we take the wonderful things that caregivers, those people, they take care of your aunts, your uncles, whether it's at home or in a community, and take technology and make that day better for the patient, better for the caregiver, and of course, better for the family around us. So as you listen to us all the time, when we look at products and service to bring to market, we look at it from the eyes of an operator and caregivers. As I said earlier, so much of the industry is stuck in their own ways. As we moved and looked to be a public company, we realized that the old way of doing things, which is, hey, if we build a building, they will come, wasn't going to work. That was very clear, starting to be clear in 2019. And this little thing called COVID came. And many of you might remember the newspaper headlines about the issues associated with residential care, particularly nursing homes. So in 2019 and 2020, things shifted. We as operators saw that as an opportunity. We saw it as a chance to take on a dynamic, large market that is sleeping in front of people. Today, 54,000 residential care communities take care of 3.5 million people every day. But most of these places, the residents do the same things. It's a place to sleep, it's a place to eat, and go to the bathroom. That's not a great way to put a dot or cross your T as you get older in life. You should have the same opportunities, at least we feel, to be engaged, to be stimulated, to be enjoying a great day. one of the things that we stand for, and Anna asked the last participant closing remarks, and I'll give you a closing remark because I'll come back to it. We believe when it comes to care, no one should be alone. So when I saw this as an operator, and I look at my own life, I'm 63, and I now see more people needing care beyond just them as a customer, friends and family. And I look at the industry the way it is today, and I don't think it's an industry that I want to be living in one of these communities. And if I say that, can you imagine how people who've not had a chance to really see the great things that go on in these communities? The one thing I'll say about caregivers, during COVID, heroes work here. Well, prior to COVID, heroes worked there. After COVID, her heroes still work there. The things that these caregivers do, if you spend a day in a community, you'll just shake your head and go, I cannot believe it. So the people are great. We want to take those same people, bring innovation and bring technology so that we can maximize their services so they're doing the highest need work, and technology can help in many other places. So we saw that as an operator. It was very clear to me that getting employees was going to be a challenge in 2019, and it is certainly not any easier here in 2023. So we took a calculated risk. I think it was a necessary one, as we threw every resource, and to me, resources are, of course, money, people, and most importantly, time, to recast our company so that we could be prepared for the future, not looking behind it. There's a very famous hockey player. I think most of you have probably heard that statement. Wayne Gretzky, go where the puck's going. And that's what we tried to do and are doing right now at Clearday. We took all the knowledge that we knew to be true as an operator. We looked for the pressure points, the roadblocks. Some people call it the bottlenecks. Others call it the point of friction, and looked at those relative to the stakeholders. Stakeholder first and foremost, patient experience. It's got to be a great one. We want the caregivers to be happier. And of course, the families to feel good about the decisions that they've made when they place a loved one in residential care. So we took that knowledge of where those pressure points are and tried to develop technology and innovation. If you think about life, generally speaking, we all live and die by cell phones today. But I remember when the first Apple phone came out, and I said to one of my friends who showed me these things with apps, and he said, look how cool these are. These are apps. There were like 7. And now we've, over just less than a decade and a half, we live and die by that phone. I remember back in the day, somebody would say, which would you rather lose, your wallet or your phone? I think that's a pretty easy answer right at this point in time. So what we chose to do as we moved into the public markets is we had a name change after a merger to Clearday. And what Clearday stands for is a clear calendar, a clear afternoon, a clear weekend, as simple as a clear schedule. Because if you've ever had to take care of an older person, particularly if they're in your home, you will love to have that clear day. Now, that's the logical side of the name. There's an emotional side too. When people make a decision about moving a person or a loved one into residential care, it's traditionally driven by either a behavior issue or lack of stimulation, but it's still an emotional decision. And there's a lot of emotion involved in that. And, a lot of times people feel bad about it. Here they're putting their parent who took care of them for 40 or 50 years, moving them out of their family house and bringing them into a strange place. That's just one pressure point that our people and our innovations try to make easier. Now, on a purely economic basis, today, the whole industry takes care of about 3.5 million people a day. Let that sink in for a second. And as I said, by 2030, the demand is going to be even greater. But this particular group of people, these older Americans, are used to different types of products and services than previous generations. So we looked at it and said, there's a significant opportunity here. Instead of being limited to only serving the people inside your four walls, we said, what if we turn around and change the economics? Go after that large number of people. Today, that 3.5 million people have a $278 billion a year TAM. Let me repeat that. $278 billion is spent every year in these places, and that's with only 3.5 million people, or less than 4% of that population. Imagine what's going to happen in the next years to come. And the industry's ripe for disruption. Most of the solutions that are out there, if you're an operator, we looked at them. We looked at the opportunity to have an out-of-the-box, simple solution to provide better experiences for the family, better experience for the caregiver, and of course, better patient experience. We looked and looked and looked, and we really couldn't find a front of the house solution. How do we serve more people, make them happier? Well, that provided an opportunity in my mind as a leader here at Clearday. If there was nothing out of the box, and you've got this huge opportunity now, and it's going to just get bigger every day. 10,000 Americans turn 65 every day for the next 10 years. And as I said, by 2030, you're going to have 170 million over 50, and half of them needing more care. So we think the industry is ripe for an opportunity to look at front of the house solutions. My partner here, Dan, obviously has taught me many, many things. He's a great advisor to us. Dan has an Italian background, and you know they love their food. And, you know, he started to explain to me, in a restaurant, there's the back of the house and there's the front of the house. So we use that term, front of the house. We've put together solutions. We call it a platform as a service for the front of the house, the patient experience, the caregiver experience, and of course, the payer, the family. Those three things are what all of our solutions and services are about. Because as operators, we know the bottlenecks. I'm not coming from a heavy technology background. I'm coming from an operating background. Clearday combined our resources with a company out of Austin, Texas called Thinktive, that we've put together a phenomenal package where we can have what many in the industries love to hear, software as a solution. So what we did during that 2019, 2020, and all the way up is we've developed what I like to call the Library of Congress of Care, therapeutic streams that can be delivered with applications in the software as a service model so that we can provide a better experience for the patient, for the caregiver. And I keep saying this over and over again, and I say this to our team all the time. Patient experience, caregiver experience, family experience. If we hit those three hot spots, we will have a ridiculously successful business. So all of the things we do, our applications are revolving around those three things. And as we think about it, I looked at it from the bottleneck point. Where does this all start? And it starts when somebody first moves into a building and how they integrate with the things around them. Think of your own life. You have your habits and rituals, whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, it's hard to change those habits. So all of a sudden, you're now being asked to leave your home and go to this strange place. And if you've got some issues with dementia, which about half of these folks in communities do, imagine this for 1 second. You wake up in the morning and it's a strange place. You're not sure where you're at. And this person is coming to you with a mask on. You don't recognize them. They know you. That's not a great way to start your day. So we've developed products and services designed around what we call the best test, which in my mind is imperative, and it's the first piece of this process. Best test stands for behavior, engagement, stimulation, and temperament. Those four things are the major drivers that require people to want to move, require or are forced to go into a residential care community. So we look at that with our best test. and said, okay, let's add on one more level. Where are people in their cognitive journeys? So with that test, we can take a snapshot. And that test is done every 30 days to see how they're doing. Because what we put together starting in 2019, and it's been years and dollars and lots of time, is a program we call Clearday at Home. It's our software as a solution. It produces a digitalized personal care map. So think of Google Maps for your care. And that can be delivered via phone, tablet, laptop. And many of you who have followed us know we've been a leader in companion robotics. All of these endpoints are designed to support a better mind, a healthier body, and a happier soul. So that's where Clearday was as an operator. We've recast ourselves as a service provider going after a huge TAM with front of the house solutions, software as a service, delivering it, as I said, through our what we call the Clearday network via phone, tablet, laptop, robotics. As we go forward, I encourage you to watch our press releases in the coming weeks. And of course, keep tuning in here to the emerging growth market. Anna, I know there's been some questions already. Let's hit them, and I'm going to use the presentation we have in front of us, the deck, to answer some of those questions.
Great. Thank you so much, James. Yeah, what an important concept that you have here, putting into everyday people's lives that need it the most. I know when we spoke earlier, everyone has a story, and it touches so many of our family members. My grandmother died in a nursing facility. My aunt died, and it was a very lonely, isolated experience for them. I'm sure everyone out there can relate to that in their own way. So such an important technology you're bringing to people. Tell me a little bit about the history. What is the origin of Clearday? How did this come about?
Well, Anna, thank you. You had spoken to me about your family and their issues. And I ask everybody to just think about if they've ever visited a family member, and I'm sorry I break up a little here. If you've ever visited a family member in a community, generally you want to get out of there as soon as you can, and you feel bad, right? Because this is not how I remember my aunt or my grandma. So what we want to try to do is make those visits better, Anna. And again, you asked me about our origin. We're an operator. We operated in what I consider one of the most challenging environments in the cognitive care space. There is a new diagnosis of dementia. Wait, Anna, every 57 seconds. Okay. Now, there are 26 forms of dementia. The most common is Alzheimer's. So people kind of use those terms interchangeably. So we cut our teeth, Anna, taking care of those folks. The technologies that we developed, and I want you to think about this, if you've ever run into or a family member who has dementia, a lot of technology is very simple, yes or no, 0 or 1. If you've ever done any coding, you know what I'm speaking of. So we took people who are not logically thinking anymore because of where they are in their journey, and we've taken that and given them better engagement, better stimulation, better temperament. But Anna, there's no way we could have done this if we weren't an operator. You can try to come up with cool technology. I like to say what's old is new. People think Ford invented the car. He didn't. He put together an assembly line so he could serve more people. Now, I am not saying I'm Henry Ford by any stretch, but I'm trying to come up with ways to serve more people so that when your grandma is in a community, it's a better experience for her. It's better for you. I hope that helps a little bit. And that's where we deliberately chose a path to move away from high cost personal care to technology-driven innovation.
And Don wants you to explain a little bit more in details. When you say an operator, are you operating care facilities, or is your model enhancing the facilities?
Great question. By the way, every one of your questions are great questions, Anna. So thank you. And thank you, Don. I flipped the slide here for those of you who want to take a quick look at it. If you did nothing else but concentrate on this slide, it answers the question. our history as an operator, we still operate today. One of the things I'm most proud of is all the innovations you can see in our website at myclearday.com have been developed by caregivers for caregivers. I'm probably one of the faces of the company that has the least experience of care. And Anna, you wouldn't want me taking care of your grandma for weeks, but I could do it for a day or two. And it wasn't because I'm a secret CEO. I try to get out in the field. I spent the month of January in our innovation center in Naples, learning more about the bottlenecks, what's going on, how do we bring even better technology and better applications. So yes, we're an operator. We operate a residential care building. We call it our innovation center in Florida. And we also have a footprint in Texas in the daily care business, where we have a relationship with veterans. Dan, do you want to take a minute and talk a little bit about our daily care space? We call them Clearday clubs.
Yeah, I think the daycare space is something that's worked extremely well, as Jim mentioned, especially with the veterans or seniors who are still able to live at home. They don't need full-time residential care, but more often than not, it's family members that are taking care of them. Family members may need a break. Maybe they have to work 9 to 5. Kids have to go to school, some situation like that. So they can use the daycare either on a daily, 2, 3 times, 5 times a week, where they're able to come in in the morning, spend half day, full day, grab a lunch, additional services like that. And it gives the family a break. In addition to that, it gives them socialization. Plus, we integrate all of our technology into those daycares. So they receive the same personalized digital care map. They're able to benefit from the same digital services, whether it's music therapy, video streams, interactivity through, video conferencing, interaction with the robotics. All of that is also available to them. It's just on a shorter basis because they're able to live at home and they don't have to be in the residential care.
So Anna, we're not just a technology company. We're caregivers who've teamed with innovative go-to-market strategies to expand our footprint and, of course, increase our margins.
Thank you for that. I think that answered our question from Harvey Turner asking for more details about the Clearday at home. So if you want to speak more on that, but I think that was a great answer. Ernest Reed wants you to explain what is the cost to the facility of the patient for this service?
The way we, and I need to be sensitive to what's public information and what's not at this stage, Anna. Our platform as a service is a bit of an a la carte, where if having our applications are important to you, we have multiple different modules that can be picked out for use in the communities. And those are designed to be on a subscription service. The pricing's not public information yet, Anna, so I'd like to just hold that one off to coming soon, if you don't mind.
Absolutely, no problem. Ben McCoy wants you to describe in more detail your vertical and robotics division. He sees it on your website. How are you getting into each?
Let's start with the history in robotics, Anna. It was clear pre-COVID, it was really hard to find healthcare workers. And then when COVID hit, it became even more of a challenge. So we looked for solutions, and it came through, of all things, our general counsel. He had built a relationship with a group overseas that were leading edge in robotics. And they were interested in coming to the US, and there were some personal reasons they were interested in senior living. So we teamed with them where they provide hardware. We're not in the hardware business, Anna. We're in the software business. So we team up with the robotic provider. We bring our Clearday at Home platform to them, where you have facial recognition. You have the ability to have your digital care map played directly for you. But I want to stress something. It is not about the robots. It's about the endpoints. Could be a smart TV, could be a tablet. We've also developed some very interesting projection opportunities for those who are bedridden or near the end of life. So I don't look at us as a robotics company. I look at us using robotics to empower. That's really important takeaway. I'm not here to replace people, Anna. On a regulatory basis, we can't. But what I want to do is if you have 42 employees in a building or a community, I want them empowered to do the things that people need to do, and let the robots do other things, and let the tablets do other things. And for those who aren't able to get around, deliver engagement opportunities to them. Just because they can't get up and run around anymore, or wheelchair bound or bed bound, doesn't mean they should have a boring day.
We have a question from Eric asking, who's your competition? Who else is utilizing robotics to serve this population?
Well, I'm glad that Eric mentioned just robotics in general. Of all things, when it comes to robotics, it seems as though if you call this competition, because it's in a totally different silo, the industry seems to like cleaning robotics. The vacuum cleaner seems to be very popular. That's where I believe we are so different. We offer companion. You know, you might have Aunt Gladys has just finished lunch and she's in the cafeteria. And many times the caregivers who have to bring them back to their rooms or help them back can't get to everybody all the time. So here's Aunt Gladys just kind of bent over. That's not a good look for any community or anybody. And, you know, companion robot, Mitra, trusted companion, might roll over, recognize Gladys and say, hey, would you like to see your map today? And whatever Gladys says, it's going to play the digital care map supporting mind, body, soul. And each of those streams are about 45 minutes, and they're put together for Gladys. And if for some reason Gladys isn't engaged after 15 seconds, the robot will move on to somebody else and maybe come back to Gladys if she's still there 20 minutes later.
So is there competition out there? Someone else doing this?
Like I said, the only one that we know of doing robotics is got a cleaning robot.
Okay.
Well, and Anna, I think the key to that is there are other robots out there, and some are desktop and so forth, and they'll refer to them as companion robots. You know, and they may work great for a teenager, something like that. What makes this special is the uniqueness of the content for seniors. There's nothing out there that we've seen that specifically addresses, you know, the digital care map and providing unique entertainment for seniors specifically designed for them for their physical capability, their mental capability, their memory or intellectual capability. It's really that Clearday component, the Clearday content, that makes the robotics unique, not necessarily the robot itself. And especially with a focus on memory care. Yeah.
So valuable. Well, gentlemen, this is a wonderful technology you have. Do you have any closing remarks for our viewers today?
The one I promised. When you think about Clearday and what we're trying to do, we want to make sure no one will be alone when it comes to care in the future.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us on our conference. We would love to follow you along in your journey. Thank you, guys.
Please do. Thank you, Anna. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much.
All right, James, Dan, see you again soon. Everyone stay with us. We'll be right back.